Hi, I'm Ken Egan. I'm Executive Director of Humanities Montana. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. This is a wonderful crowd in every sense. It's very impressive that you're here. Before we begin the proceedings, I want to share with you something pretty amazing that happened to Humanities Montana. This is a chance for us to celebrate together. And in fact, what we're going to celebrate is relevant to the event that's about to take place. About 5 months ago, we received a special award called the Schwartz Prize. So Humanities Montana was awarded this national distinction for what they call our public affairs programming. And public affairs, of course, refers to, we hope, civil, thoughtful, careful, respectful discussions of issues that matter to all of us. It so happens that for the last, really 3 years, Humanities Montana has been dedicated to public affairs programs. And the specific programs that we are recognized for, it just so happens some of the most important individuals who helped us to put on those programs are here tonight. So I want to take a chance to recognize them, have them stand up. I would ask that you hold your applause. Let's go ahead and get everybody standing, and then we'll applaud them and give them the recognition that they deserve. So first of all, we have one Jim Heckel from Great Falls. Don't applaud yet? Okay, go ahead and applaud, that's fine. So Jim Heckel, longtime director of the Great Falls Public Library, an avid mountaineer. Perhaps that's the most important passion, but anyway, avid mountaineer. And Jim was on the board of Humanities Montana from 2005 to 2009, and he mounted one of the very first civil discourse conferences we put on. That was, of course, in Great Falls, and that was January of 2008. So in many ways, Jim was a trailbreaker, a groundbreaker for us, and it's great to have Jim here. Carol Smith. Carol is from Hamilton, Montana, just up, as I said, up the Bitterroot. And Carol is an incredibly dedicated citizen. She also served on the board of Humanities Montana from 2005 to 2009. Exactly, same class as Jim. And we're recognizing her because she went to the incredible hard work of putting on a conference called Reason and Respect, a civil discourse conference in Hamilton. And I think we'll agree, Hamilton's can be kind of fractious, a little difficult. And Carol had the courage and the tenacity and the work ethic to do it. So thank you so much for doing that. Very, very good. And then we have here a very special teacher, Sally Broughton. Sally Broughton, thank you. 2009 Montana Teacher of the Year. And Sally, last June in Billings, brought 43 teachers together in a civic education institute, which is an incredible effort to infuse civic education into schools all across Montana. And we're talking large schools, small schools, and you're so dedicated to the cause. And in fact, we just gave Sally another grant to do another civic education institute. So thank you so much for being here. And now I'm going to embarrass some folks that don't know they're going to be called on, so this will be kind of entertaining. So we also have a program that we call Reflect Community Conversations. And the idea is that a group of individuals come together. This could be a nonprofit group, a government group. They come together and they read short pieces of literature in order to talk about what really matters to them, to talk meaningfully about their values. And we have several individuals here who have participated in that program. They serve as facilitators. And in fact, I'm just going to note here, so we have Lisa Simon, we have Jason Neal. Is Jennifer Thompson here? Where's Jennifer? Jennifer's here. Any other facilitators, so I don't forget anyone? That could be. So thank you very much for serving in that capacity. So. Last but absolutely not least, I have an incredible staff. They work so hard to put these programs on. I think, I like to say we're a little engine that can, because there's 4 people in our office, and yet we put on events like this. So I want to acknowledge them. We have Ken Stoltz, who's our fiscal officer. We have Kim Anderson, who is our program officer. And we have Claire Leonard. Where is Claire? Is Claire? Lady, okay. Claire Leonard, who is our administrative assistant and works very, very hard. So. And thank you also to our board, which works incredibly hard. So. Anyway, so this is wonderful. And by the way, there's more information about the award and the programs over there if you have some time. So I get the opportunity to introduce one Brian Kahn, who's going to be our moderator for tonight. I was looking at Brian's biography and thinking, how do I introduce this person? He has such a disparate set of skills and such an interesting life. And I decided I just settled on a few salient features. One of them is he was a former boxing coach. That might be relevant. I don't know about what's going to happen tonight. So he's a former boxing coach. That's interesting. It's good for a moderator, so he's probably skilled in that way. He's, of course, the host of Home Ground Radio, which is a brilliant local program done about Montana issues. It's aired on both Yellowstone Public Radio and Montana Public Radio. I hope you've heard it. I hope you have a chance to catch it. It's a brilliant show. And we're proud to say that we provide funding for that show, so it's a wonderful thing. In addition to that, Brian is a recipient of the Governor's Humanities Award. He just received that last June. And I must say he gave an incredibly eloquent speech about the place of the humanities in our culture. So what's about to happen here tonight is we're going to have a public affairs discussion. And Brian Kahn, take it away. I'll let you take over.
Thank you very much, Ken. Can you hear me okay? I'm always nervous with these miniature mics. I'm a technological reactionary. I don't trust high technology. Anybody in the back can't hear? Everybody okay back there? Okay. First, thanks so much for coming out. It's a lovely evening. You could be doing other things. Appreciate your participation, and many thanks to Humanities Montana for sponsoring this discussion. It is going to be a discussion, not a debate. Debates are flashy and occasionally useful. Serious discussion, I think, is always useful. We've got two outstanding people to discuss the question of the state of Montana and are we equipped for the 21st century. The format will be pretty flexible. We're going to start, I'm going to ask an opening question that's after I introduce the speaker so you know who you're hearing. We'll get opening remarks that will be fairly succinct, then I'll ask a series of questions that I think are relevant to the topic, and then we're going to throw it open to you. And when we do that, I'm going to walk around with this very small microphone, which is on a wire. And so I'll hold it for you and ask you to make a question, or if you want to make a comment, you're fully obviously entitled to make a comment. Please be to the point, whether it's an observation or a question, and then we'll see if there's a response from the panel. And then we'll finish. Now, I forgot to ask, what's the time element here? We're starting at about 8 o'clock. You want to go to 9:30? Is that what, an hour and a half? Roughly speaking. Now, I have to say, last night, Pat Williams and Bob Brown were in Helena for a similar event. The subject was, is the United States government failing, I think. They both did a terrific...
Broken.
Pardon me?
Broken.
Broken.
Was it broken?
Was it broken? And there was a big debate whether it was broken or failing. No, there was a serious discussion. And they both did a terrific job. And they're both gluttons for punishment. Pat more so because he's back on the panel here, and Bob Brown is in the audience. I want to thank Bob Brown for his terrific participation last night and your being here. All right, now I'm going to introduce these guys, and because they've done so much, I have to read. I apologize. And if I look disorganized in terms of the way I put papers on the floor, that's the way I am. We're going to start with Lawrence Grossfield from Big Timber, who comes from a third-generation, rock-ribbed Republican family. And when he was 6 years old, at a big family gathering, he announced firmly that he was going to be a lifelong Democrat. Now, actually, that didn't happen. I just want to make sure you guys are paying attention. Lawrence earned a Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration from Colorado State University, began working full-time on the family ranch in 1973, became a co-owner in the 80s, correct? Okay. He served as a medic during the Vietnam War. His public service includes, but is not limited to, President of the Montana Association of Counties, member of the Board of Natural Resources and Conservation, State Water Plan Advisory Council, and the Sweetgrass County Planning Board. He served as a Montana State Senator for 3 terms from 1991 to 2003 and served on a wide range of committees. Rumor has it he occasionally has time for fly fishing, although he claims he's a hard-working rancher that never gets a moment's break. He's also a fan of live theater and music, and I will just say, I've known Lawrence for about 20 years, as I've known Pat Williams, and they are both highly intelligent, highly honorable, and guys with a good sense of humor. So Lawrence, many thanks for making the trip over from Big Timber. Pat Williams, who is a Democrat. Although I have to say this, Pat, I didn't want to get into this publicly, but both he and his wife are Yankees fans. Now, I have to tell you, this is
Calm down. Calm down. Calm down.
That's the toughest thing you're going to hear about him tonight. Served 2 terms in the 1960s as a state legislator from Silver Bow County before serving as Montana's congressman from 1979 to 97, the longest tenured congressman in the history of this state. He was Deputy Whip of the U.S. House, Chairman of the Post-Secondary Education Committee, a member of the House Natural Resources Committee. In addition, he was, during a tough time that many of you will remember, the champion of artistic freedom for the United States. And when history is written, that's going to be part of it. In addition to teaching at the University of Montana, he presently writes columns for a number of newspapers and websites in Montana and the West, and has a regular commentary on Montana Public Radio. Okay, now I've got to find my first question here. There it is. Very cleverly, I put it in italic type so I could find it. Now, again, we're talking about a serious question. The state of Montana, are we equipped for the 21st century? And we're going to talk about past, present, and future. And as an exemplification, as the most boiled down example of what we're talking about, are these 2 bottles. When I first came to Montana in 1966 to work on a cattle ranch in the Madison Valley, this kind of discussion would inevitably be accompanied by a bottle of whiskey. Okay? Kentucky whiskey, bourbon, or in this case, Tennessee sour mash. Now, Lauren and I are imbibing in this, but the maitre d' said no man from Butte in this establishment can get close to any alcoholic beverage. So Pat is being boycotted. I apologize for that, Pat, but that's the new Montana. What can I tell you? And the point is, now if we have this discussion in Montana, some people would be drinking wine. And in fact, that does reflect a significant change in culture. And it's also, since Lauren and I are going to have a drink, you can see which side of the divide we're on. All right, the first question. Before assessing where we stand now, how do you see the key changes we've seen in our state over the past 25 years or so? We've had strong population growth, land ownership transition, cultural change, arguably a shift in our approach to natural resources, perhaps a change in our politics. What's the most important in all this from your perspective? Lawrence, would you mind beginning?
No, that'd be fine. First I got to ask, are there any county commissioners in the room?
I'm a former county commissioner.
Okay, well, if there aren't, then never mind. There was just a slight error in your introduction, but since there's nobody here that'll know the difference, it doesn't matter.
Thank you. It's only a slight error. You got off easy.
Yeah, but the night's young. You know, we have had population growth in Montana, but I'm not so sure that it's what was the word you used? Significant, strong population growth. We've had about 20% growth in the last 25 years or so. You know, divide that by the year, and it's not that much. But more significantly, the average population growth in the western states, all the western states, is more, it's in the 60s, 60 to 65%. So we are way below most other states, with the exception of Wyoming. They're the only western state that came in with less growth. But nevertheless, it's been growth, and I think most of that growth has been influx as opposed to more babies. But I would almost guess that influx is a number bigger than the 20% because we've also had a lot of outmigration. A lot of our babies have left, and that's an issue that